Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to be sent into space? Well, there's only one way to find out: blast off in a rocket. But even that isn't as easy as it sounds. Getting humans into space is actually a pretty complicated process that requires a lot of planning and preparation. And it's not just the astronauts who have to be ready for launch. The spacecraft itself has to be prepared too. The first step in sending humans to space is getting them to the launch pad. This might sound obvious, but it's actually not as simple as just showing up at the right place at the right time. Astronauts typically arrive at the launch site a few days before launch to begin their pre-flight activities. During this time, they'll check out their spacecraft, meet with flight controllers, and run through launch simulations. But they don't actually board the rocket until just before takeoff. Once they're all suited up and ready to go, the astronauts will climb into the space capsule. But how do they get up there? Well, that's where the launch tower comes in. The tower is equipped with a platform that can carry the astronauts from the ground to the rocket. Once they're in position, the platform will retract and the rocket will ignite. As the rocket begins to lift off, the astronauts will experience several minutes of intense acceleration as they're pushed back into their seats by the force of the engines. This is known as G-force, and it can be quite a jarring experience, especially for first-time astronauts. But the feeling doesn't last forever. Once the rocket reaches space, the astronauts will experience weightlessness as they float around the cabin. Of course, not all spacecraft are built the same, and some require a different approach to getting astronauts inside. For example, the International Space Station doesn't have a rocket. It's actually delivered by a specialized space shuttle, which docks with the station and allows crew members to board. But no matter what type of vehicle is used, the goal is always the same: to get humans to space safely and efficiently. That means that every launch has to be carefully planned and executed. The astronauts' health and safety are obviously of the utmost importance, but it's also crucial to ensure that the spacecraft is ready for takeoff. That's why each launch is preceded by a countdown that allows engineers and technicians to double-check everything from the fuel levels to the weather conditions. And even if something goes wrong during the countdown, the launch can be avoided. That gives the astronauts a chance to figure out what went wrong and make the necessary repairs. But if everything checks out okay, then it's time for liftoff. For most rockets, that means heading to the pad in a custom vehicle like this one. The astronauts will be strapped in and the vehicle will slowly move them towards the launch pad. Once they're in position, the astronauts will disconnect from the vehicle and make their way to the rocket. They'll climb a ladder and then crawl through a hatch to get to the space capsule. Once they're inside, the door will close behind them and the astronauts will be sealed in. That means that the only way out is through the top of the capsule, which is designed to withstand the incredible forces of launch. When it's all said and done, the astronauts will emerge from the capsule and make their way to the surface of the planet they're visiting. Now, depending on the mission, they may need to use a jetpack to get around while they're not inside the spacecraft. But that's a whole other story. As you can see, getting humans to space is a complex and carefully choreographed process that involves a lot of moving parts. But it's also an incredible feat of engineering and human ingenuity. From the powerful rockets to the brave astronauts who fly them, we have come a long way since Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space back in 1961. And as technology continues to improve, we can expect even more exciting developments in the future. So the next time you look up at the stars, remember that it's not just robots and probes that are up there. Humans have been exploring space for decades, and there's no telling what amazing discoveries await us in the years to come. Now you know how humans are sent to space. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more videos about space. And thank you for watching. See you next time.